12 to 15 of the top English clubs in European football have decided they're going to go in and create this European Super League.
And they've just shit the bed.
So the response has been poor.
Oh,
but
terrible.
The format of the tournament is there'll be 15 foundational clubs. So the 12 clubs that have been announced, 6 from England. So Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, and Tottenham.
Yeah.
Is that all the big dogs?
That's all.
From the
That's
EPL?
essentially all the traditional. Or
What about
new
Spurs?
top
What about
six. That
Spurs?
is Tottenham are Spurs, so they're part of it. And then the 3 biggest in Spain, essentially Barcelona,
Yeah.
Real Madrid, Valencia, and 3 of the biggest ones in Italy, Juventus, AC, and Inter Milan. And the other 3 who were suspected to be the other 3 to make up the 15 were Borussia Dortmund in Germany, Bayern Munich in Germany, and Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
So they're all
all-
the biggest clubs in Europe. Literally the only ones that have any chance of winning
I
anything
don't
in
count
Europe.
Spurs as big.
Oh,
They
yeah,
always
of
want to
course,
be
but
a part of it. They're always like, yeah, please include me.
But
Please
they're
include me.
new wealth.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
wealthy now. So
Sure.
that
Do they get invited?
these are the founding clubs. So all of these chairmen have obviously, all the people at the top of these clubs
Yeah.
have gotten together, put this idea in place.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm puffed in from the
Yeah,
wrong
you're
end.
puffing, mate. Oh,
This fucking cigar.
So to put
It's
this-
hand rolled.
No, yeah,
it was
they-
rolled this afternoon. I saw Jacob.
yeah.
Shout out Jacob. Roll it.
Long story short,
is great cardboard.
the
I
club's
don't
chairman,
wanna
they
interrupt.
decide to all come together and build
Yeah.
this super league. But
So 12 to 15 clubs.
It's going to be
champions
20,
have
so it's
come
going to
together.
take on like an NFL for NBA like type format where it's going to be 2 in the group of 20 teams. There'll be one side that has 10 teams in terms of one side of
Like
the
a
league.
conference.
Yeah, so like the conferences in the NFL. The other side has 10 teams. They compete. The top 3 go to the quarterfinals, and the 4th and 5th place go to a playoff.
Yeah.
And they go in that way. So it's going to be 2 games, home and away, versus each team. This was what they proposed. But before all the backlash, this is what it seemed like was definitely going to happen. And it was going to be a midweek thing. So the plan was not to disrupt the country's like national leagues. So like the English Premier League, the French League, Bundesliga and all that. But it was going to disrupt the UEFA Champions League, which essentially meant they weren't going to be part of the Champions League anymore, which is the biggest European club football competition to this point. It has the best music
it does.
in world sports. The best opening music in world sports. But the uproar I've seen from this
Yeah, there's some
is
gnarly stuff.
insane.
Watch your hand.
Insane.
I'm the hand.
He is. No,
Person.
there was heaps of things online saying, like Liverpool fans. I'm a massive Liverpool fan myself. There was big banners put up at Anfield, basically saying Liverpool RIP.
Yeah.
You sold us tickets, then you sold our souls.
Why do they care? Because
Well-
aren't they going to be playing more if they're playing during the week and
The
on the
the
weekends
amount
for
of
the
fixtures
club?
won't, because they already play a lot with the Champions League format that's there. It's not going to be that drastic a difference in terms of how many games they're playing. I think the idea was this to be hosted in America too, so of like 100,000 seat stadium, so it'd be more travel, but and harder for fans to go watch, which I think was part of the outroar.
But the thing is,
What-
as well, this isn't. It's not keeping to where the clubs originally were heading towards. Like, it's not conservative. It's very like out there, and so a lot of the fans are just losing their shit over it. They're just not happy.
do they want to maintain a
They will-
traditional?
they will maintain-
Yeah.
I personally do not think it is as dramatic and terrible as lots of fans seem to be going at it.
Dinner's ready. I'm just going to turn the oven off.
Yeah, go for it.
I think one of the problems as well, and I think this is maybe where a lot of the backlash comes from, is that the big clubs, all they did was they decided within themselves that they were going to organise this. They never once mentioned to the general public, to all the fans who make this sport as amazing as it is, they never said, oh, what do you guys think about it? All the fans would turn around and say, yep, nah. But they just did it themselves and then decide, yeah, fuck you guys, we'll just do it anyway.
Yeah, I can understand the perspective of the fans.
Yeah, they're pissed off.
I don't understand why they're so pissed off though.
Why the fans are pissed off?
Because it's against all the tradition of what it is to be a football fan. They're
What
like
the
the
clubs
European
are all
Champions
about.
League is massive, and why the fans are upset is because FIFA, the head of football in the world, and UEFA, the head, like essentially these are the governing bodies. the head of the European football, have come out saying anyone who participates, any player or club who participates in this, they will be banned. Because this is where I have a problem
Banned
with
from
it.
FIFA.
Banned from like
From playing
World
the World
Cups, Euros, like all these national competitions essentially.
Players won't be able to
Yeah.
participate. Like you're just going to be cut out of world football altogether.
So by cutting those players out, doesn't that mean the FIFA World Cup becomes worse? If
Yes.
Neymar, who plays for PSG, this is my soccer knowledge, won't be there. If
Yeah, all
Messi
these
from
people are
Barca
gone.
won't be
Yeah.
there. If Ronaldo from is he Juventus?
Ronaldo's at Juventus now. Yeah.
If he won't be there as well, because all those clubs.
Yeah, and this is where I have a problem with it, because I don't like FIFA and UEFA being like the arbitrators of this is tradition, this is football.
Yeah, but you know why they've done that though? Is because, like I said just before, all these chairmen did was decide within themselves, yeah, let's fucking do it, and they never once mentioned to the rest of us, hey, this is what we're thinking, because FIFA and UEFA, like the whole point of having them in power is that they turn around and go, oh, well, this is a load of bullshit, or wow, that's a really great idea, let's support you, without consulting with them first. It just, we're not building trust, we're not building good relationships in the football world, and especially when there's so much money revolving around it, I bet people are going to get butthurt over it. And so yeah, I mean, FIFA
I still
basically
don't understand why people are butthurt.
no, well, I'm saying FIFA will be butthurt because,
because
no
they've
one's
just lost everyone.
well, no one's mentioned this to them, and all the chairmen of these big
They've been excluded.
Yeah, and so-
a new party's been created, and they haven't been invited for dinner.
literally.
But I think this is what a organizational like FIFA, like they need a reality check, because they are like, they're not these like amazing people who keep
They're
football.
corrupt.
They're as corrupt as they come. Like the amount of money countries bidding for World Cups have to pay just to have a
much?
chance.
Do you know?
I don't know exact numbers. Like I don't know exact, but these like speculations
Look
come
that
out
up,
that,
Jamie.
like Australia, even when we bid, we had to pay a consultant who could just get us in the door to have a chance to get a bid.
And our
like these
bid-
kind of crap.
Our bid was massive, and then we lost out to United Arab Emirates.
What was it, Qatar? One of them.
That's it, Qatar. They beat us because they actually bid afterwards.
Yeah.
So we had the winning bid, then they came in and swept the stage last moment with just this massive, ludicrous amount of money.
Yeah.
And so FIFA's as corrupt as they come. But the problem is that because of the power they wield and because of the money they wield, they've just turned around and said, all right, if you don't want to consult with us first, fuck you. We're just going to ban you from every world stage possible.
I don't think they have the power to do that, though. I think the leverage, by allowing these like billionaires, not nationals to the countries, the leagues they're buying from, these
Sure.
billionaires to come in and buy up all these clubs, they didn't think sometime in the future, they might have a better idea in their head of what they're going to do with their money.
Yeah.
They're going to do what's going to get them the most money. And in terms of like, I think FIFA and UEFA are just angry that they've been left out.
I think so, yeah.
That's all it is. I don't think they have the leverage.
Just
I
to
don't
play
think they can
devil's
stop it.
advocate, should they be consulted on this?
Some people might say yes because the whole point
Because
of having
it
them
sounds
there,
like it involves them.
It
sounds
just
like
it
involves
means
them.
these big clubs are no longer going to participate in their big competition in terms of the Champions League. So
which is a massive money
yeah,
draw.
FIFA and UEFA, like they're closely linked in terms of like similar, like
They've got the same mindset.
Yeah,
And they've got this.
yeah.
They've got the same interests. I mean,
And that's
long
why the
story
World Cup
short, when
is
these
an issue.
well, you could say they're companies, when these leagues are formed, like especially the Super League, and all these clubs decide, well, we're going to participate in that over things like Champions League. Well, then Champions League just lost millions
All true.
worth of viewers, money, players, and the Champions League, as we were saying, is literally one of the greatest sporting events in the world. So
it's a big, but
kicking the balls.
I think they've already let it get to a point though where, because part of the uproar is the romance of football in terms of a little club can come up and
Yep.
win these leagues or win these Champions Leagues. But I think as we go, with the amount of money that these big clubs, regardless of the Super League, have at the top, there's no little club's going to come up and make their money.
Leicester did it, didn't they?
Leicester
That was somewhat.
did,
Was that somewhat
but
recent?
they weren't a poor club at the time. They had a lot of money themselves, but they were definitely a surprise. They're not one of these multi-billionaire or like
Like you,
buying
yeah.
up everyone. But I don't know how many of them are going to happen in the future. Like, I don't see
Yeah, that's
it having that big an
You
impact
reckon
on
it's
who's
gonna
going
be
to.
harder and harder.
These 15 clubs that we've mentioned there, they're the ones who are going to win the Champions League every
Well,
year
they've-
for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, but they've
Like,
got the resources as well to dedicate to their teams, to the science behind the sport. And so, of course, they're going to win. They're going to recover better and
Yeah.
so on and so forth, train better.
Does by moving the best teams, the top 15 teams, to a different league, create room for other clubs like Leicester
Yeah.
or more small
Definitely
clubs to
would.
develop and level up their skills?
This
and,
is
and
literally where I was
resources?
going to go. This is where I was going to actually tie in and say that I sort of agree with the concept that this actually might not be as bad as everyone thinks it is. We're just creating another tier to
Yeah.
the pyramid. I mean, we're just saying that if you want to aspire to be like Juve and stuff, you've just got to go a little bit higher. And like you said, we're just getting a new viewership open. There's plenty of viewing rights there for everyone underneath these big clubs. Why not utilize that and get some of these small clubs a little bit more money, get the sport growing?
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Will it still get many fans going to the game if they're in America?
It sounds like if it's in
Is
America,
there-
it'll get a lot of American fans, but I'm
but
imagining
they
a
don't-
lot of people.
Do they give a fuck about the club?
No.
Are they diehards?
No,
Are they
no.
bleeding
As much as
red for
maybe
Manchester?
as much as there are
Manchester United?
Australian fans who are that into these European clubs, like there'll be that kind of.
Yeah, well, there's,
Fans
why would you move the sport away from all of its diehard fans?
That's
It
the
makes no
part I
sense.
don't like.
This
the
is
most,
literally
yeah.
what we were
That's
talking
the
about
part.
the other day, which is it's better to have your diehards than to have some, fakes.
Yeah.
And why would you move it to America? Okay, there might be more money, but there also might be a lot of fakes who aren't going to come actually watch the games.
Yeah,
And if they want to watch, they can just sit at home watching on their big plasmas. Whereas here, or in the UK even, or in European leagues, people will fly across countries to go see games. They'll catch trains. They'll make it happen so they can get there. I don't know why you'd move. It makes no sense.
but I love the idea of like the 15 to 20 best clubs in the world being in a league together.
Yeah.
Just like even if it's once every like 10 years, if that kind of thing occurred,
That's awesome.
I would love that idea. Every FIFA I got, I would literally do it on career mode. I would put all the best teams in one league, see how it went. Like, just
Do you know what's really cool
that
about
idea
that?
I do like.
The amount of bragging, right, that comes to supporters is just massive.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually really healthy for the game because we're not talking about, 2, 3, 4 winners. There is literally, you can only have one team that wins
Yeah.
tournaments. Why not just make them on a pedestal that's so far up it's hard to see? And the Super League does that. It makes it so that, sure, you've got, these 5 qualifiers who can come in. Maybe Leicester has a year where they just go gangbusters.
Yeah.
And they start climbing. Sure, they can qualify. They can be a part of all this. But the cool thing is that these podium teams, they've year after year after year, or even if you say maybe every 2 years, every 4 years, they've got a chance to be the bee's knees.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder, is this only happening because soccer's at such a big level, like globally? It's so big.
I think so.
In every other country. It's big all over Europe. It's pretty big in Australia, but obviously not.
We
We
just
don't have the
money yet,
level.
yeah.
But you look at other sports, they could never do anything like this where you're grabbing teams from each league in a different country and pulling them together. Even basketball, a big sport, isn't big enough in that many other countries. It's big in Australia, but
Yeah.
we're still shit.
Parts of
Well,
Europe
It's
is
a little
decent,
bit
but
big
yeah,
in Europe,
yeah.
but is that something that might happen in 30, 40 years' time with another sport where it does grow to that point?
It will only happen if, again, what Dino said before, he mentioned that multiple wealthy businessmen and women, they're buying into these clubs and they're not necessarily nationals. They're from any part of the world and they contribute
Yeah.
their money. If you allow that to happen in a sport like NFL, basketball, baseball, sure, that will happen. In my opinion, baseball is the next best thing. You've got Japanese love it.
That's true.
Chinese love it. Koreans, they're diehard fans. The Americans are going gangbusters for it. If you enabled that same sort of money power in that sport, then you'd have a really similar
Yeah.
thing occur, which is that rather than having just like an American league, Japanese league, so on and so forth, you would have a super league for your baseball.
Yeah.
And it would be really, really awesome to see that, especially across these these major sports because it brings massive amount of money, massive viewership, and all it does is it's leveraging the power that they've already got, and it just grows the sports.
Yeah.